Working memory is a cognitive skill that we use every day in the majority of our daily tasks. Working memory allows us to store and manipulate temporary information and carry out complex cognitive tasks like language, reading, learning, or reasoning. Working memory is the ability to retain elements that we need in our brain while we're carrying out a certain task. Working memory is a type of short-term memory. Now, working memory has very specific characteristics. It allows us to store some immediate components for 10 to 20 seconds. It also allows us to pull long-term memory into the mix, and then it processes all of that information together. But its capacity is limited, meaning we can only store 5 to 9 items at a time and only for 10 to 20 seconds. Working memory is active though. It doesn't just store information, it actually helps us manipulate and transform it. And our working memory is permanently being updated. Every time you're using it, you're updating it. Just like saving a document, every time you save it, you're updating it. Thankfully, due to that very fact, we know we can actually improve our working memory capacity. Now, people with really high working memory capacity score well on tests of all kinds. They're great writers as well as great storytellers. They can remember all of the details. And they're able to reason at really high levels. And important to us, they have remarkable memory. What I want to do now is take your working memory for a ride. Are you ready? I'm going to list 5 random objects, and I want you to hold those objects in your working memory, okay? Don't write them down. Just hold them in your mind. Are you ready? Tree, road, mirror, Saturn, screw. Got it? Okay, while holding those words in your memory, let's do a couple seconds of shoot the thumb. Remember? Finger, thumb, finger, thumb. Good. Okay. Now let's do a little mental math. What's the answer to 25 times 5? 125, right? Now, count backwards from 100 to 90. All right, awesome. Now, do you still remember all 5 of the items I listed? How many can you remember? People with average working memory usually can remember 4 to 5 items, so you might have been able to remember the whole thing. People with below average working memory, 2 to 3 of the items. And those with above average working memory probably could remember up to 9 to 12 items at a time. Standard working memory allows us to hold on to these random bits of information for about 10 to 20 seconds, unless we do something with it. We have to process it. Apply it to something or talk to someone about it. Basically, we need to use a memory strategy in order to be able to retain the information longer, to be able to move it from working memory to long-term memory. In other words, what we process, we learn. One of the best ways to do that is to use imagery. In fact, that was one of the 3 keys to remarkable memory, remember? We associate using imagery. We can use imagery every day to boost our memory, thinking of things in images, writing notes with images, reading books and converting those thoughts into images. Get it? Now, back to the 5 items I listed earlier. Can you remember them now? How many can you remember? Let me help you with a little bit of imagery. I'm going to use this guitar, all right, to help you remember all 5 of those items. We're going to process it. The first item was a tree. Stand the guitar up on its neck. It looks like a tree. The second item was a road. The neck of the guitar, right, the neck, looks like a road. The third item was a mirror. Well, let's imagine that the front of our guitar is actually mirrored. The fourth item was Saturn. The whole of the guitar with its little lines around it makes me think of Saturn and its rings. And the fifth item was a screw. Now look at the metal tuning keys. They look like little screws, right? So now, how many of those 5 items can you remember? I bet you'll be able to remember all 5 for days, weeks, and even months, because we simply took our working memory, we processed the information in a way that made sense to us. In other words, we organized the information, and now it's being held in a different part of the brain, so we can access it longer. But remember, the more we access it, in other words, repetition, the longer we'll be able to remember it. I hope you had fun.